the power of tens and the exponent 0. So here we have a chart, and for 1 billion, if we look at it closely, 1 billion, we have a 1, with 9 zeros. So we write 10 to the power of 9. Let's take 10,000. So if we look at 10,000, we have a 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 zeros. So we would write it 10 to the power of 4. This only works with tens. It would not work with any other number. So if we look closely, as we go down by 1, from 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, what's happening in the standard form is that we're losing a 0. So when we get down to 100, 100 is 1 with 2 zeros. And then when we get to 10, 10 is 1 with 1 0. If we wanted to write only 1, if we would follow that, if we go from 1 to 0, we would lose our 0 here. So 10 to the power of 0 equals 1. The trick with the zeros only works with 10. So if I wanted to write 10 to the power of 4, I know it would be 1 with 4 zeros, and that would be 10,000. So 10,000. Let's do another example. For 1 million, if I write 1 million, I know it's a 1 with 6 zeros, so it would be 1 with 6 zeros, so 10 to the power of 6. Right here. This trick does not work with any other number. If we take, for example, 5 to the power of 2, this does not equal 5 with 2 zeros. 5 to the power of 2 equals 25. And so this little trick with the zeros that I'm showing you only works with the base 10. But the exponent 0 works with every number. So in our first example, we have 4 to the power of 0. And the 0 is touching the base 4. So that means that the 4 will become 1. So 4 to the power of 0 equals 1. If I have negative 4 to the power of 0, so now my exponent is touching the base 4. So that means that the 4 is becoming a 1, but it's not touching my negative sign, so I still need to include it in my answer. So negative 4 to the power of 0 would give me negative 1. In my last example, my exponent 0 is touching my bracket. So that means that everything inside the bracket becomes 1. So my negative 4 is now positive 1. If we are writing numbers as using power of tens, the first thing we need to do is decompose. So if I'm taking 3,452 and I wanted to write it with the power of tens, so I have 3,000s, I have 400s, I have 5 tens, and I only have 2 ones. And if we look back at the chart on top here, thousands is the power of 3, hundreds is 10 to the power of 2, tens is 10 to the power of 1, and ones are 10 to the power of 2. So I know that thousands are power 10 to the power of 3, hundreds are 10 to the power of 2, tens are 10 to the power of 1, and units or ones are 10 to the power of 0. So to write this using power of tens, we're going to start with our thousands. So thousands we said is 10 to the power of 3. And in this case we have 3. Then plus, and we're putting everything in brackets. So now we're going to do our hundreds. So hundreds are 10 to the power of 2. And in this case I have 4. Now for my tens, we've seen that tens are 10 to the power of 1. And in this case I have 5. And my units or my ones are 10 to the power of 0, and we have 2. So this is how we would write a number using the power of tens. Sometimes it might give you a little text to read and ask you to get the numbers from the text and then write them as power of tens. So here, if we're reading this text, we have 600, that's a number, 5,700, 10,000, that's a number, 60 million, 100, and 1,000. So if we were to write those using the power of 10, so 600 would be the first. We've seen that hundreds are 10 to the power of 2 zeros. So, and we have 6 of those. My next number is 5,700. The first thing we need to do is deconstruct it. So we have 5,000 and we have 700. So we've seen that thousands are 10 to the power of 3. And in this case, we have 5. And hundreds are 10 to the power of 2, and in this case we have 7. Our next number, 10,000, so that's with the number 10. If we look at it, I showed you a little trick. It's a 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4 with 4 zeros. So 10,000 would be 10 to the power of 4. 60 million, the first thing we need to do is write it under numbers, 60 million. And if we look at that, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So tenths of millions would be 10 to the power of 7, and we have 6. 100, that's the number 10 also, so that is 10 to the power of 2, a 1 with 2 zeros. And 1,000 would be 10 to the power of 3 because we have 3 zeros.